I think it's pretty safe to say that when we examine the Star Wars sequel trilogy by Disney and Lucasfilm, a lot of fans have had a lot of issues with, of course, Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy, the president of all things Star Wars, and how things were really handled for these 3 Star Wars movies that really brought an end to the Skywalker saga for good. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Kathleen Kennedy is that we do know that she was the one directly responsible for deleting many scenes out of Episode 9. Even Ian McDiarmid just the other day at a convention was talking about one of the major scenes in which Palpatine was going to reveal to Kylo Ren that he indeed was a clone. They left that out for some specific reason, and that a lot of that had to do with Kathleen Kennedy. So, when you look at Kathleen Kennedy, obviously a lot of fans have always been wondering what this movie really could have been like if Kathleen Kennedy did not interrupt The Rise of Skywalker and really changed a lot of the ideas provided by J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, and borrowing some of those ideas by Colin Trevorrow's script and implementing it into Episode 9, you name it. Instead, we essentially got Kathleen Kennedy's take on the film and how things should really be directed in Episode 9. So, with that being said, what's really intriguing about Kathleen Kennedy is that thankfully she no longer has creative control over these new Star Wars projects, which I believe is a great step in the right direction by Disney and Lucasfilm, and really does show us that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are focused on their new Star Wars universe, as well as their new Star Wars trilogy of films that will introduce a brand new mythology of Star Wars to the fans around the world. Now, it's explained that The Rise of Skywalker was by far the most difficult production for the sequel trilogy films, and that the box office results did not meet anywhere near expectations, where it's explained that currently Kathleen Kennedy is very frustrated with the Star Wars fandom after how so many fans rejected The Rise of Skywalker with her improvements, in her mind, made to the film by cutting out the scenes that involve characters like Luke, Anakin, Kenobi, Yoda, and more, in order to focus more so on Rey, Poe, Finn, etc. Now, it's noted that behind the scenes, Kennedy was very frustrated with how fans did not respect the new characters at the very end of the Skywalker saga as much as she expected them to, and that a large part of this has to do with the fact that Kennedy was directly responsible for the box office results of the film, and out of all of this, Kennedy's power was reduced by both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, to where she can no longer interrupt the creative decisions for future Star Wars projects that are in the works to be released in theaters or on Disney+. Now, it's noted that Kennedy was also very angry over the fact that fans did not respect the Rey Skywalker revelation at the end of the film, and making her a Skywalker, as she believed that this is what the fans wanted in the long run, for Rey to become a part of the Skywalker family. However, many fans had an issue with this decision, and that this idea was all from Kathleen Kennedy. So, the thing about Kathleen Kennedy being frustrated with the fans, obviously, is because her agenda or her idea of a Star Wars film did not go her way. Now, if you guys like The Rise of Skywalker from start to finish, that's fine. You know, that is perfectly fine. There's a large amount of people out there that like this movie. But there's also a large amount of people, maybe even more so, that were very unhappy with The Rise of Skywalker. Now, yes, it did get a superior, rating on Rotten Tomatoes in comparison to The Last Jedi's rating. However, I myself, I liked a lot of scenes in this movie. In fact, I would go as far to say that I loved a lot of scenes in this movie. But at the same exact time, there were a lot of scenes that I really hated. And I just did not like the Rey Skywalker concept. And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are either going to agree with me or disagree with me on this, but Rey calling herself a Skywalker, meanwhile she has Palpatine's blood, to me seems like, almost in a way, the Palpatine family took over the Skywalkers in a sense. But when we look at it in that sense, also you can flip it on the other end, where Rey is trying to hide her true identity, she's trying to forget exactly who she really is, and to really build herself up to be something more positive. That's essentially what they were trying to do. But Kathleen Kennedy being frustrated with the fans of how they did not fully respect that idea, I don't blame the fans for having issues with Rey being called Rey Skywalker. I don't blame the fans at all, because in Kathleen Kennedy's mind, she thought that the fans wanted Rey to become a Skywalker, and that is probably the truth, but we wanted her to become a Skywalker as far as her actually being related to Luke. Maybe something like, Rey being the daughter of Luke Skywalker. Something wild like that would have made a lot more sense to me, at least. I think it would have been a little bit more respectful to calling it the Rise of Skywalker, and even calling the very end of Episode 9, the very end of the Skywalker saga. So that's just my take on things, guys, and I would really like to hear what each and every one of you have to say about Rey Skywalker and Kathleen Kennedy being frustrated about all of this behind the scenes, and how this also kind of led to her, getting her creative control taken away by Bob Iger and Bob Chapek. So with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.